Welcome back, dear children. This is the slide where we left. Use these ways to improve your writing. I hope the skills you have to develop can be understood. Now I'm moving to the next slide, right? What should I include in a good story? So, what are the contents I have to include in my story to make it as a good story? So, an interesting story will contain events. What is mean by event? So that is what we are going to see now. A strong exciting plot has an unexpected event. Turning point, they'll say, na, turning point should be there in a story. A crisis or a problem which needs to be sorted out by the end of the story. A story should contain a problem. Then only the story will be interesting. If all good things are happening in a story, do you think anything interesting is there? No. Without a villain, hero has no value. Do you know, children? Without villain, hero has no value. So, hero has to prove himself. That means a villain has to be strong there. The same way here, a problem has to be there. Then only a story will be interesting. A strong, exciting plot has an unexpected event, a crisis, or a problem which needs to be sorted out by the end of the story. So, at the end of the story, you have to sort out the problem. It is your wish that you can give a happy ending or a sad ending to the story. Stories can contain more than one problem also, but it has to contain problem. That is what is main. Plans could go wrong. There could be an accident, something or someone could get lost. So what are the problem? Example problems we are saying. A machine could break down. Something important thing like precious diamond necklace was stolen, or queen's necklace. Okay, so all these precious important things could get stolen. It may be a jewel, it may be an important file, or it may be anything very important thing had stolen. So all these can happen in your story to make it very interesting, right? So what happens? An interesting story will contain events. A strong exciting plot has an unexpected event, a crisis, or a problem which needs to be sorted out by the end of the story. Stories can contain more than one problem also, right? Now, story endings. How the story ending has to be? Explain the result of the events or show how the problem was solved. First, problem has to be there, and you have to show how the problem was solved. That is what a series of actions, steps taken to solve the problem. That will become a story, good story. But don't end with everyone going home for dinner or someone waking up to find it was all a dream. That will be boring. Okay, sometimes that will be boring. So try to make it alive. Endings usually bring the story round full circle. So after seeing the ending only your story will get fulfilled, right? So starting and ending has to be proper, right? Start. Three crufty pirates sat gloomily around a table in the Lord Nelson pub, staring down into their empty beer glasses. One by one, they emptied out their pockets. It seemed they all had run out of money. So, this is the starting of the story. How will be the ending? The pirate gang made their way down the quay to their favorite pub to celebrate their success. They had earned enough money now to buy whole year worth of what they want. Okay, and they have changed themselves, right? Story endings, the final sentence, right? The final sentence of the story. Final sentence is an important as a opening sentence. It usually sums up the story or a theme or a message, right? Moral of the story will say, isn't it? So finally we will write moral of the story. Same way, story endings has to be the sum up of the story or the theme of the story or the message of the story. It had been the best day of my life. I'll never forget her. If only he had been so selfish. She realized taking part is much more important than winning. It just goes to show crime really doesn't pay. They were richer than they could ever have dreamed. So these are all the endings, right? So now it's a storyboard. Now it is a storyboard. This storyboard will help you to plan a story without writing it, right? First, planning. What is the opening? Settings, characters, what is the problem, how it is solved, and what is the end of the story. What is it? Opening, setting, characters, problem, how it is solved, and ending. Right? Now you are going to plan a great story. First, what you have to do? Title of your story. You have to decide the title of your story and you have to decide settings where the story will take place. Then characters who will be in your story. What problems will they have? Then how will they solve the problem? How will the story end? So all these comes under story writing. You have to make a checklist. Okay, did I give this title for the story? Okay, good. I gave title. Did I decide the settings of the story, where the story takes place? If you decided, tick yes. You decided the characters in the story? Yes. What is the problem in the story? How it is going to be solved? Everything is sorted out. Then how the story will end? That is the best story you're going to write, right? Now, we saw that story writing has 5 key elements: character, setting, plot, conflict, or theme, end of the story, right? We saw about character that takes part in actions depicted in the short story. Can be a living person, can be a dead person, it can be a ghost, it can be an imaginary character, a robot, a dog, toy, whatever it is. Okay, so everything is considered as character only. So a golden rule for selecting character in the story writing is fewer is better. That is, if the characters are very less, then the story will be very interesting. Story writing will more effectively convey its meaning if it has very few characters. One protagonist is the hero of the character, hero of the story. One protagonist, one other main character should be there, and supporting characters. No supporting characters or side characters would also be idle. So it can also be considered. That means it will become a conversation, like a conversation. Then animating characters with perfect adjectives and examples are the must. However, typically while writing short stories, do not overdo the characterization, in the sense the characterization has to be apt to the particular character, right? Time frame and the place constitute the setting of the story. All that we saw. Setting is often decorated with descriptions, scenes such as supermarket, bedroom, crowded metro train, drizzling evening, uh, so many other. I gave you an activity also for these, right? Now, unit of time frame may vary from hours to days to weeks to years. So, how the story is happening? At what time the story is happening? Is it happening for 1 hour alone, or 20 minutes, or days together, or weeks together, or years together? That depends on your story. Golden rule is selecting time frame for story is keep it shorter, have it single. So it has to be shorter, then only it will be interesting. Next, you have to describe the surrounding. It must be absolutely clear and very importantly appealing to the five senses. You all know what are the five senses of us. It has to be appealing to the five senses of your readers. So it has to be poetic. That is what I gave you the list of poetic devices like similes, like metaphors, rhyme, everything. So be poetic, use adjectives, script dialogues, or even deploy side characters to whatever you need to ensure that the reader lives your story. See, reader has to read, and it has to go into their mind, and they have to live in your story when they are reading. That is what is very very important in your story, right? Plot is flesh and muscles of story writing. It comprises of events and character actions. So it has to be more creative, and it has to be logically connected, right? So one scene is related to the story and the other scene is not at all related to the story. Doesn't look nice. The coincidence should be there, right? Plot has start, body, and end that are linked sequentially by events. Next, you have to choose a start that reader gets hooked to the story. So by seeing the starting itself, we have to create an interest to the reader. We create confusion or questions in reader's mind by first line of the story. So you have to create a question. So what next? What happened? What will happen next? There should be a suspense in your story, right? First, the reader will try to answer, right? They'll put their full ability to try to answer, but finally end up should maybe different or maybe to their expectations. So idea or the theme of the story, that is what is the skeleton of your short story, right? That is very very important. Character, setting, plot, conflict, theme, right? All these we saw, and we will go into the story. So left side, write the question. Write a short story in 200 to 250 words with the help of the clues given below. Give a suitable title to the story. This is a question, dear. Going to Mumbai by train to attend the marriage of a friend. Got stuck in a traffic jam. Reached the railway station late. Boarded a wrong train. Realized after 2 hours. Now you. So this question was asked in 2019 English Communicative Set 1 question paper, right, in board exam. So that question only I took here. Shall we see the answer? So first is heading. A series of unfortunate events. I sat down with relief as I ticked off the last task in the checklist. I wanted everything to be perfect as it was my best friend's marriage in Mumbai. The alarm rang next morning. I woke up in excitement and booked a cab to the railway station. Everything was going perfectly until I got stuck in a traffic jam. I reached the railway station late, but on the side of the train, still waiting on the platform, I hurried and somehow managed to get into the train. I breathed a sigh of relief and got comfortable. It was only the ticket collector. I panicked and deboarded the train from the next station. So, children, I tried booking a ticket, so you can expand the story. Thank you, dear.